everybody, it's Jacquie Gines, and I wanted to do a quick drive and dive and talk a little bit about what's going on in my life and just encourage you that there's so much going on in the world that can feel chaotic, and it can feel topsy-turvy, and it can feel like things are just kind of uneasy. I've been sensing it in the air. It seems like time has just sped up, prices have gone up, and there's so much going on. I just wanted to encourage you though. Oh my goodness, sorry, I was just looking at the cattle. So let me give you a viewpoint. You can see my screen. I am driving out to my homestead. So I have some land outside of the city, and I do encourage you, if you have the means to get land outside of the city, you should get some land outside of the city. As I'm recording this right now, we got this whole hantavirus thing, we got the Iraq war, and if you are in Omaha, Nebraska, you know that they quarantined some of the passengers from that hantavirus cruise ship in Omaha, Nebraska. Now I want you to think about if this makes sense to you. Why would you put a hantavirus quarantine, just in general, a national quarantine center in Omaha, Nebraska, which is the same city that houses STRATCOM, Offutt Air Force Base, where you know STRATCOM is the Strategic Command Center for launching the nuclear weapons? Why would you put the most infectious why would you quarantine the most infectious diseased individuals in the same city where you could potentially have an outbreak that could spread to STRATCOM, which houses the button for the nuclear weapons? This doesn't make any sense to me. But as you know, I am from Omaha, Nebraska, and so I peeped that out a long time ago, and I said, yeah, I need to have something outside of the city so that if I need to evacuate, either because we're a military target for STRATCOM, or if there's a major global outbreak and they need to quarantine people, they're bringing them to this city. I want the ability to get out of this city as soon as possible if it's necessary. I don't think things are going to be good, y'all. So if you have the ability to get some sort of alternate location, or at least have a plan, maybe you're not able to get land or get a home outside of the city, at least start thinking about having a plan for if you needed to leave your city, whatever city that is. If you're in a major city, start thinking about what is your plan to leave at a moment's notice. Think about it. We've had flash floods, and those folks needed to evacuate quickly. We've had wildfires where people had to evacuate quickly. They've had these chemical spills, remember that, where they said there was something weird in the air or chemicals in the air, and then they had to evacuate the whole city because of some contamination in the air or the water. If that should happen and you need to make a move quickly, think about what you would take, think about where you would go, and think about what you would leave behind, and think about how you would communicate with the ones that you love. So, what do I mean? All right, think about what you would take. If you got the call that said, you got to get out of the city, you got an hour, and you got to go, what would be the things that would be the most important to you that you would actually say, this is important and I need to take these things? Obviously, it would be your children. If you have children, you would probably want to make a plan for your pets. I'm thinking about, remember Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, and a lot of people had to leave their pets behind. And that was just so sad to see all those pets just sitting there looking like, where's my owner? And I don't know what's going on, and these waters are flooding. So you would want to have a plan for your pets. You definitely Some other things you would want to take. You would want to take any medications that you have, because if you're evacuating, you may not know how long you'll be away, or if it's a permanent evacuation and you may not be able to get back. Say there's a natural disaster or fire or flood, or depending on where you're at, you may not be able to get back. So you definitely would want to have a plan for your medications. You want to have, so not only do you want to have your medications, you want to obviously have your children, but what things are your children going to need? Do they need diapers? Do they need baby formula? Do they need things, their clothes, their favorite comfort items? Maybe they have, the Linus blanket or whatever, the baby blanket, pacifiers. So you're going to want to think about those sorts of things. You're also going to want to think about things like, do you have enough gas in your car? With gas prices being really unstable right now, it would be a good idea to always, if you can, try to keep your tank at least half tank, so that if you need to evacuate quickly, that you can get on out of here and have enough gas in the tank that you can actually get to some other location on that single tank of gas. Now, some people keep their tanks topped off all the time. I admit freely, I'm bad at that. I don't always keep my tank totally topped off, but I am working to do better on that. Some other things. So we said, think about if you needed to evacuate quickly, what you would take. Think about where you would go. So start thinking about now, if you had to leave suddenly, where would you go? If they said you gotta leave the city right now, you got an hour and you gotta go. So you're packing your most important things, your keepsakes, your photos, your computer, your medications. You probably would want to take all of your credit cards, any life insurance policies. Some people actually create a binder, like a 3-ring binder, or some sort of means to hold your important records, right? Your credit card statements, your bank statements, your life insurance policies, anything, passports, IDs, anything that is important for identification purposes. Of course, you will want to have some money on hand. If you can hold on to cash, that's always good. If you've got some cash, try to hold some small bills as well as large bills, because if you're in an evacuation situation and you only have $100 bills, you might be paying $100 for a sandwich. You know what I mean? So try to think about the things that are most important to take with you, that if you had to start over somewhere else, you would want your keepsakes, your most important documents, your children, your pets, anything that you need to actually live and survive, like your medications and things of that nature. You want to start thinking about where you would go. If you needed to leave the city, sometimes the only thing you can think of is just, I gotta get out of the city, and you don't necessarily have a plan. But if everyone else in the city is leaving the city without a plan, all the places that you're gonna end up is probably gonna be overwhelmed. So you want to think about things like, do you have family? Do you have friends? Do you have networking associates? And do you have community? Do you have church family? Start thinking about where you would go if you've got a relative out of town, somewhere that you could get to. Just start getting the wheels turning about where you would go if you had to leave. And along with knowing where to go, you also want to think about how you want to get out to where you want to go. So if you're in a major city, it's probably not a good idea to take the main roads, because they may be blocked by bumper-to-bumper traffic with everyone else trying to leave. You've seen the disaster movies where all the cars get piled up on the highway, and then you're basically stuck in traffic trying to get out along with everyone else. And once that happens, you could essentially get stuck on the highway and run out of gas, just simply trying to get out of the highway if everyone is going the same direction. So you want to take some time and look at your maps or GPS, which, by the way, you should have paper maps and know how to read them. want to have some maps or at least an idea of what are the back roads or what are the less well-traveled evacuation routes out of your location. So, for example, in Omaha, Nebraska, Highway 80, Interstate 80 is the main artery that everyone would get on if it came to trying to get out of the city. And so you would want to avoid Interstate 80. You'd want to avoid I-80 because everyone that is in a panic that hasn't thought through these things, that's the road they're going to be on. Even worse, if the military decides that they need to do some sort of lockdown because there is a military threat or some sort of quarantine threat like what we had during the pandemic, literally the main roads may be actually blocked by military or government personnel. And then you wouldn't be able to get out because there would be choke points or block points. So you want to think about alternate routes to be able to get out if you needed to get out of your city. So you want to think about what you want to take. You want to think about where you would go, whether it's a friend's house, a family's house, a family member's house, someone you network with. Here's the key. You want to start doing that networking and having those conversations now while things are still up, things are still doing good. So you want to start talking to your family members and building relationships with your friends, your family members, your associates, your church, your community, whoever they are, to say, well, hey, if we ever had an evacuation scenario, will we be able to come your way? Because the worst thing you want to do is show up on somebody's doorstep in a crisis that you haven't talked to in years and years with your head in your hands saying, oh, we had to evacuate. You might be rolling the dice as to whether or not they're going to open that door for you. So you want to get those things in place right now. The other thing, I know there was 4 things that I said. This is literally off the top of my head because I'm driving and diving into this subject. But one of the things you definitely want to do is have a communication plan. You want to have a plan to how you can communicate with someone that is looking for you, and how you want to communicate to ensure that it's a valid communication. So what do I mean by that? You want to have the ability to leave some sort of message behind. If you had to evacuate quickly, your loved ones are going to be looking for you. And if they show up to your home and you're not there, or the police or the military or missing persons investigators show up, you want to try to leave something behind to say, I had to evacuate. I went to our special location that you've already set up, and they should know how to reach you from there. Now, of course, you want to have the correct phone numbers, which is another thing you want to take with you. Don't just only rely on your phone. Try to write down some of your emergency contacts on paper and keep that in like maybe a bag that you keep in your front closet. So some people call these a bug out bag or a go bag. But try to put together something that has your most essential items that if you needed to evacuate quickly, you could just grab the bag. It has everything in it and you could just go quickly. So you want to leave something behind for someone that may be looking for you. You want to have your emergency contact phone numbers so that in case your phone dies or it goes down, you can borrow someone else's phone at least and call and send a message. One of the things for communication that would be good is if you have a moment to record a voicemail message to say, hey, I had to evacuate. I'm going to be at thus and so location or special location if you don't want to disclose it, but they would know where that is, and leave any other information or details that you got out safely or whatever it is that you want to say. Actually leave that on your voicemail message. The reason why is even if your phone dies, if someone calls your phone number and they get your voicemail, they at least can get some information about what happened, so that they're not totally just mystified as to, man, we're trying to call, we can't get through. Because if there is an emergency evacuation situation, the phone lines may actually not be working either because they're overloaded or because they're down. And so that would be one way that you could get that information out. You want to call your emergency contacts. Come up with a special code word for your family that only your family knows, that you never put online, so that if anyone contacts you and they don't know the code word, you can have a gauge as to whether or not you can trust that person or what they're saying, etc., etc. So those are the 3 things. I know I missed the 4th thing, so if you're watching this and you need to put it in the comments, what was the 4th thing that I said? I don't even remember, because I'm driving and diving right now. But I'm posting this video, and as you can see, it's raw, it's unedited. I left in all of the ums and ahs and everything, because number one, I'm not AI. See my hands, my hands. There's no AI. This is me actually talking, because I want you to feel confident that I'm a real person and I'm giving you real information, because I love you and I want you to make it in whatever it is that you're facing. You can make it. You can do it. I believe in you. And so that's going to do it for this drive and dive. But we'll talk about more in future drive and dives. But I thought I would give you this little tidbit of information that makes sure that you're thinking about what would happen if everything changed. You needed to evacuate quickly. What would you take? Where would you go? And how would you communicate? Those are just a few things off the top of my head. And we'll get into many, many, many more topics, social commentary, current events, just what's on my mind, what's my opinion, what I'm working on. So there's a lot more coming, but I thought I would just share a little bit with you. I'm Jacquie Gines. Please, please, please like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, hit the bell, all the stuff that they tell you to do. If you like this and you kind of vibing with me, I want to vibe with you. So leave a comment. Tell me some other things that are on your mind. Tell me some things you'd like to talk about, or topics of interest. And, I'll hit up a little bit of any of it and all of it, because I'm there for all of it. So I love you. Vibe with me. We'll talk to you again.